Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for another episode of the ABJ Podcast, episode 19. Last episode of the month will be tonight. Um, I believe at 7 o'clock. Don't quote me. But it will be with Zach Zander. He'll be my final guest of the month here. Rolling into it. Actually, no, that's a complete lie. There's two more. We have a whole other week. I'm sorry. He will be my episode tonight at 7 o'clock, and then we'll have two guests later on. I will announce those two guests at the end or the beginning of next tonight's episode. So stay tuned for that later on. But yes, episode 19. If you want to support me, links are below. I do have a Patreon. I have merchandise. All that stuff helps the gears moving here and helps provide transportation and all that. One little quick announcement I do want to make, just kind of like a little soapbox thing. If you have friends who are on social media, a like, a share, a comment goes so far. And I know people are like, "Oh, I hate when content creators say that," but it truly, truly means a lot. I'm fortunate enough that Facebook put a thing out saying, "Hey, here's how to monetize your page. You're eligible for it." And I was like, "I'm never going to get anything for this." And because people support on Facebook and they share my pages and they like and comment, Facebook sent me $40. Like I got PayPal $40 by Facebook. And it didn't cost anybody a dime. All they had to do was hit a button and they made a major corporation pay me. It's not a lot of money, but it's better than zero. So like I just want to say, not just for me personally, but anyone who you know is a content creator, is an independent worker that has social media pages, don't just scroll by stuff. Just it doesn't take a lot to hit like and just put a little comment in there or hit share or show them that love because it could be helpful to them in their growth and their journey. So definitely take a look at that. The links below also for my guests. Make sure you check out all that, as well as two wrestlers on the scene right now who are injured, and you can go and support them, whether it be their subscription services or their merchandise or their 8x10s, or just follow them on social media and tell them how beautiful they both are and show them love, because sometimes when you're in this business and you're not around anymore because you're injured, it does bum you out. There was a nice benefit event that just happened for Adina at Classics Bar and Grill. It was fun. People were slapping each other with tortillas. It was a very eventful day. And coming up here in March is going to be a benefit show, as well as another benefit show. I'm sorry, February, and then March is going to be another one at Smash Masters. We'll talk about all that when we get closer to it. But without further ado, let me bring my guest in. This is a guy, I love him to death, man. He's one of these people you go to the wrestling shows and you see him and you're like, boy, he's just a huggable guy, and he's a great hugger, and he's adorable, and he's the best person ever, and he's one of the most entertaining managers on when it comes to this business. Let me bring in the coach himself, Coach Raff. What's going on, buddy?
Hi, man. What's up? I love you too. Thank you for all the kind words, man. You're one of my favorite people. So
You likewise, man. I genuinely like I when I go to shows sometimes it's like, man, like I get generally excited to go to shows because you think to yourself like, all right, who's going to be here today? And then you kind of go through the rundown of all your friends that are going to be there, and you're like, yes. And then I see you and I give you a hug, and I actually got to meet your better half at the last show for the first time, and then like 3 or 4 years of being here, I got to meet her, and then I got to meet your little one, and holy
yes,
Hannah,
I was,
adorable.
thank you. I was so excited for you guys to meet him. Like I couldn't wait to get him to a show so everybody could meet him. Like he's the best. I love him so much. Like
The Chuck Taylor socks was my favorite thing of all time. If I could find them as an adult, I want them.
I love him.
Yeah.
He's so well dressed. He dresses way cooler than I ever will. Like and I'm the one I dress him, and he looks so much cooler than I ever will. It's so true.
Does he have the same problem you have sometimes when you're going around the ring where your pants don't stay around your waist?
No, because you know what? Like, even if his pants fall down, he's got he's got the nice onesie. Maybe I should start wearing I should get my Coach Fit shirt, but in onesie form. So when my pants fall down, I'm just in a onesie with like my nice world logo on it. Like, I'm sure that would be great.
Honestly, some of my favorite moments in professional wrestling have been when your pants fall down. One of my favorites we can never see again because it was taken off the internet. But we did a movie, and you had a really funny bit when you were managing Mike Mitchell, and I think most of the match was just your pants around your ankles.
Oh my gosh. First off, I love that match. I am sad it's gone. The pictures are still around. You can see them on my social media. There's great I believe somebody made a trading card, and it's just a picture of Mike, and he just looks exhausted and annoyed. And there I am with my pants around my ankles. You're lucky though. You've come along when I started wearing the singlet underneath. But like my first like year or so in wrestling, I didn't wear a singlet. So when those pants would fall, like you just see butt crack.
Oh, butt crack.
Butt crack, even worse because the boxers would go with it. So like, yeah, that's what the singlet was for, is to make sure the world didn't have to see my butt anymore.
Yeah, and then recently at another event we just recently did, we had the Halloween show at the drive-in, and you showed up as Coach Berg, which was another amazing coach moment. You can check that out very soon on the Smash Master YouTube channel, or you can go over to IWTV and watch the full show.
I can't wait for that to be available. That was a ton of fun, and that was it's when I learned, don't ever make a joke on social media, because the booker for said promotion will be like, well, now you're doing it. So.
It 100% happened one time. The first time it ever happened on our podcast, I made a joke. PPW said they were bringing in Gilbert, and I said, well, Andy Header versus Gilbert, book it. And Andy goes, please no. And the poster came out, and it was Andy Header versus Gilbert.
Oh my god, that's fantastic.
Yeah, you gotta be careful what you say, or don't be careful what you say, and say things and act like you don't want them to happen, but secretly you do.
I mean, there was a little bit of me that kind of wanted like somebody to be like, you should totally do the Coach Berg thing, and of course the booker for Smash Master, and I guess I could say that it's Rosh. I think everybody knows it's Rosh. Old Masty. He hit me up and was like, you have to get like the black shorts and the gloves and the little knee pads, and I quickly gathered all those, and yeah, that was great. And I'll probably end up doing it again sometime this year, apparently. So
yeah, you were Coach Berg. Adina was Stinger Adina.
Yes.
Who else we had with Hollywood creamy World Order? That's what that was cool. Riley, I think Riley did like a face paint. There was a lot of cool cosplays going on that day.
That was such a fun show. I had such a great time, and like, the show itself. Yeah. Oh, you were Jesus. That show was great, and I mean, mainly because like all the shows, Smash Master's fun. That was just fun, and I love that crew. We'll get into that, I guess, but
yeah,
that's a good time.
So you got into your training through Backbreakers, RIP.
Yes.
Out of that's a Wilkes-Barre, right?
No, it was when I had started there in 2016. It was March of 2016, and it was in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Scranton. See, on our side of the mountain, we just make like Wilkes-Barre and Scranton's one thing for us. That's probably what you don't want to hear. But like, if I'm in that area, I'm in the Wilkes-Barre Scranton area. It just kind of merged together. It's like Hazleton and West Hazleton. We don't differentiate. They're just one area. You're
gonna get some heat from the Luzerne County and the Lackawanna County people with them. Like, Wilkes-Barre is the Diamond City, so Diamond City War Machines,
Yeah.
Lackawanna is the Electric City, so like, yeah, you're gonna get the Scranton Wilkes-Barre people. They don't want to hear that. I mean,
yeah, I know it's definitely not proper etiquette for that side, but like that's just kind of how Pennsylvania rolls. Like when you see on the news, like, oh, tonight in Wilkes-Barre Scranton, it's like they merge them together, and then that's what we hear, and we just think you're just one area that are kind of like the New York Giants and the Jets, where you get kind of share a stadium,
I know, yeah, and I mean we share teams. We have the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders and the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Penguins. So like, but they are very different. People from those areas. I'm not from either of them. I'm originally from Dunmore, which is like near Scranton, which also gets lumped in with Scranton. So I guess I sound like the crazy person who's like, that's different. Yeah. But yeah,
like you'll drive around Wilkes-Barre and you'll go eat at a restaurant. And you're like, oh, I just was at this restaurant. And you're like, oh, you were down in that, and they say a different town. I'm like, I was in Wilkes-Barre. It's the same thing. Yeah.
But I back on track. I started at Backbreakers in March of 2016, and it was in Scranton. Before that, Backbreakers had been in Pittston for a bit, and it may have been in Wilkes-Barre. I'm not 100% sure. I know it was in Connecticut originally.
Really?
Yeah, I think that was when, and somebody can correct me on this, and I'm sure they will. Johnny Glitter was the head trainer, and eventually the school made its way into Justin Glory's hands, and Glory had opened it in Scranton in a building. It was like a big warehouse looking building. There might have been like a few other businesses in there. I know there was a hair salon and a restaurant supply company. And at the time, Glory was doing tryouts. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, I always wanted to be involved in professional wrestling. There were schools around here in the past, like when I was in college, that I would like see and be like, maybe, but I was dirt poor, like growing up, and continued to be poor in college. So like paying for wrestling was just not going to happen. I kind of had a chance like with this tryout, and at this point I was in my like mid 30s. So I was much heavier than I am now. So wrestling was kind of like out of the question. I was just like, I don't think I could be a wrestler. But growing up, like, you know, I was such a big fan of like Bobby the Brain Heenan, Paul Bearer, Jim Cornette. Like, I know it's not a popular one now.
in between, like today when I was doing stuff for the podcast and then waiting for this one to start, I was actually watching the Bobby Heenan documentary on the Peacock.
Oh, man, that's a good one.
That guy took some bumps. He was crazy.
Yes. Bobby Heenan was the best, and like one of my favorite commentators of all time, favorite managers. He was a pretty good wrestler in his own right. Like everything Bobby Heenan did was amazing. And that was kind of like, yeah. And like, basically like him and Paul Heyman were the two that made me just be like, you know what? Like maybe I want to be a manager. So I went for this tryout. It was me and one other individual who didn't really like go too far in wrestling. They, for lack of a better term, they beat the balls off me in this tryout. They made me like, I'd do everything a wrestler would have to do. So it was squats, sit-ups, push-ups, hopping over a bag, like I had to do so much in this tryout that like, I did it all very poorly because again, I was, 60 pounds heavier. And I also just I had knee surgery in January of that year and literally was cleared like a week before this tryout to do anything like physical. So like I went with like sweatpants on and my knee wrapped up because I was worried if like Glory had seen my knee, he'd be like, get out. And it was rough. There we go. Yep.
Eric Pinhead, coach busted his ass during that tryout. Yeah. If Eric said you busted your ass, I believe him.
Yeah, he was there. Brad DeMeo was there. Wild Phoenix, I believe, was there. A lot of people like who like I had gotten to know as the years went on, especially like Eric and Brad, who I love. They're great. But yeah, it was tough. I passed the tryout. I started at Backbreakers. My class wasn't huge. It was actually, I believe everybody in my class I think everybody has since stopped wrestling, which is crazy now that I sit here and think about it. Like I've never sat and thought about it, but like I had Carver Cross, who's since like kind of stopped wrestling and now does his own thing. Rod Wilder, who stopped. Johnny Papadopoulos, he stopped. Trajan was in my class for a bit, but he had kind of started wrestling like he was towards the end there.
That's one person I want to come back so bad.
I love Trajan.
That's just another human being. I fell in love with in this business, and I love when he comes to hang out to not even wrestle, and everyone's like, come on. He's like, nope, I'm just here to hang out, brother. I'm just here to hang out. I retired.
He's just a genuinely great human being. He's a great father. Like I love Trajan so much. I do miss him. I kind of I wish he was around for some of these things now because I know he'd be on them. But at the same time, too, I understand and respect his decision to take a step back. So it's all good. And I feel
he'll go clear his head. He'll take maybe some time off, and then he'll bounce back and he'll have fun again. It's tough. This is not an easy thing to do. Is to take time away from your loved ones and your family and your friends and dedicate yourself full time to professional wrestling. It's not easy. And Trajan's very, very talented. And how many times have we seen? I always joke around every time, especially when Ace is home. It's like, Ace is on Impact, and you were the one that took the bump that got him signed. Like you were the one he jumped on from the backboard. He's like, shut up right now.
He's so good. Everything Trajan does, will do in the future, I assume. Like everything he does always looks so smooth. Like that kid's so damn good. Like he's great.
Through the roof.
Yeah.
If it was an RPG character, Trajan, and it only went to 10. Trajan's charisma is a 25.
Like of all the people I met at Backbreakers, like especially the younger ones, like him, Keita Murray, and Kit Raff. I'm not just saying Kit Raff because, like, you know, they're all like, they're so talented and they're so good, and like I'm just in awe, and they're all great people too, like, and you know, like, and there are people who have like left that I wish would, like, but some of them moved, like Rod Wilder moved out of the area. I loved Rod. Rod was so cool. He was one of my favorite people, but he, you know, he moved, he got a different job elsewhere. He kind of was done with wrestling because it was hard. And I know like Carver had gotten hurt and had started up his own business, selling like Juggalo merchandise and things like that, because that's his deal. So he kind of moved on too. I like Carver. Carver and I never saw eye to eye on a lot of things, but it's like a person outside of wrestling, I really like Carver a lot. Same with Ron. Now, but yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's right. There's a little bit of delay, so I'm sorry if I'm not trying to cut you off. It's just like it's weird there. But so it's one of the things I definitely want to stress on that is people listening is you did something that probably not a lot of people do in that situation. Not a lot of managers, I don't think, have to go through that process. Maybe some schools do, but there's some where I talk to and they're like, nah, I was really good at this, and they just kind of gave me a spot, and I stand next to the ring, but I don't take bumps, I don't do anything. Like, I kind of just stand there and I just do what I'm doing. But the two that I know that, you know, that stand out to me when it comes to training, Mary did training,
yes,
and Big Dust. And you three are probably my three favorite ringside managers in the business, and all three of you went through the same process as every wrestler did.
Yeah, it's crazy, and we've all also, like, the three of us have you know, worked together extensively.
Oh, yeah, every single time you three cross paths with each other, it's always gold. It's always. And
gold. I love them both, especially Big Dust. If I'm on a show with Big Dust, whether I'm working like against him or he's just there, I light up like a Christmas tree when I see his name on there. I love him so much.
He's so funny.
Yeah, he's so funny. He's so talented. He's such a great human being, and so is Killian McMurphy. Like, they're two of my favorites. And it is funny. Like, I always have to ask managers when I meet them, like, were you trained? Because, like, first off, like, I want to make sure that if they're doing something to me, they were trained, because I don't want like someone not trained to do something to me, because like I enjoy like having all my teeth and both the vision out of both my eyeballs. So like I don't enjoy getting clocked in the face by somebody not trained. And it's crazy.
Didn't we talk about one time before you said you took, and the reason you do this now is you took a slap spot from somebody and they caught you in the ear, right? Or something like that? Yeah.
Yep. They nailed me. They nailed me good. So like I have to make sure that, like, yeah, because, you know, and even like if I'm working a match with them, like, which I've done a few. I've worked 2 matches in 2022, and Mary and Big Dust, and it went great. Like, you know, I mean, Killian and Big Dust kicked the shit out of me, but the match itself went great. You know, but yeah, and it's crazy. Like, I was the first manager, and I'm pretty sure this is what Glory told me. So I believe I was the first manager trained by Justin Glory, not from Backbreakers. I believe there was some before Glory, but I was the first one trained by Justin Glory, and then C.R. O'Malley would be the second one, and I believe that was it. After that, there hadn't been any other trained managers. I had to go through actual training. Glory did do a lot of my training, but I also do credit Brad DeMeo, Eric Pinhat, and Johnny Toxic, because they did a lot for me and they helped me out a lot too. And without them, I don't think I would have learned how to, like, overall, like, you know, be as good as I am. Like, they really, like, you know, Glory kind of set the foundation and they built the house, for like lack of a better way of putting it. So I do credit them a lot. Got my GSW hoodie on, actually. Like, I thank them so much. And I've even to this day, I've put them over so much, because they've really, like, and any time I get to work with those guys, I absolutely love it. I had graduated from Backbreakers in August of 2016. Obviously, you never finish training. Like, I still learn stuff to this day. I got paired with Tucker Riley. Tucker, I don't think wrestles anymore, which is cool, I guess. Nah, I, I'm not the kind of person to say anything negative about anybody. I know people have their issues with Tucker Riley, and that is what it is. Him and I got paired together. It didn't work out. I was with him.
I don't know. I don't know anything about Tucker Riley, so I don't know the backstories or what.
Yeah, you'd have to ask people. I'm sure, like.
I'm not going to put you on the spot or make you say anything.
Yeah, Brad or Pinhead or somebody could fill you in. I know. I do. There's it's so funny. I had a interaction with, I won't specifically name who they are, but they're a current AEW star that's on TV now. And at a GSW show, Tucker had, run afoul of Brute Van Slyke, and it kind of just became a thing with the two of them. And the current AEW star is sitting next to me, and he turns and he goes, "Does this happen a lot?" And I said, "No." I'm like, "That guy, he kind of fucked up." And the person just was like, "Oh, okay." And it was funny because it's an AEW.
I'm trying to think of the current A. The only thing I can think of is, do they have a really nice butt?
No. They're named after
that person.
They're named after a shoe, so a very popular shoe. Okay. And it's so funny. It's somebody that I'm such a geek for.
I thought it was someone who is an act of love or intimacy. No. Yeah.
It's somebody who I'm a mark for too, so it was so funny. Like that whole show, they were like, "Behave yourself." He's like, "I'm such a this person." Because I was a Chikara fan back in the day, and this person was like a favorite of mine, and so was the person he associates with, who does the thumbs up and was also an aunt, and these were just guys that I was very lucky and thankful to GSW that I got a chance to work with, as GSW had brought me on as a ring announcer around the same time that I had finished at Backbreakers as a manager, or trained. I had graduated from Backbreakers, and GSW had also just started using me as a ring announcer, which was really cool and a lot of fun. And I got to learn so much, and I got to be on shows with so much great talent, especially people now who are really hitting their stride. I was on with Mike Skyros on a lot of shows with him, and that's another one. Such a great talent, and so good. Such an awesome dude outside of the ring. I'm so happy that he's seeing a lot of success now and getting out there. He's great.
He private messaged me. I don't remember right now off the top of my head what episode he listened to, or if he listens to all of them. If he does, I mean, it means the world to me. But he private messaged me the one day. He's like, "Hey man, I was on my way. I was on a long drive, and I listened to the podcast, and he complimented me, and he gave me some feedback, and he's just really supportive, and he just telling me how much he enjoyed the podcast and how we need to sit down and talk soon." And I don't get a lot of feedbacks, and when you get feedback from people you like, or people you respect a lot, it meant a lot. So Mike, if you are listening, thank you for the message. I was out and about that day, and it was just not a great mental health day, and I got that message, and I was like, oh, so it perked me up a lot. So I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, if you're listening, Mike, you're awesome. Mike was always super nice to me, and super cool. And he would come to Backbreakers a lot, because at the time Justin Glory would run. They were called pay-per-view parties, and they would be the same day as a WWE pay-per-view. And he would run little shows, and these was where I did the majority of my work with Tucker Riley. And on these shows, it's crazy looking back. Keita Murray would wrestle on them, Kit Raff, Trajan, Rex Taylor. My gosh, I'm trying to think. I can run down. Mike Skyros was on them, Jacoby Riddick. It was crazy. The talent that would on, and in pre me doing them, they would have I believe Joey Janela was on a few of them, and Nyla Rose, and I forget who else. They had a lot of like really good talent come through at like work at Backbreakers. Like it's
now Backbreakers and GSW worked very closely, right? Like they were
yes,
hand in hand.
Yeah, they would for like I guess the best way to explain it for people who like wouldn't know, like I guess the easiest way to explain it is like if if GSW was WWE, Backbreakers was NXT, and it would feed people to GSW to use.
That makes
so
sense.
Like Trajan, that's like Trajan ended up on there, like Kit and Kita, Rod, Shogun Machete, like a lot of these guys from Backbreakers. Who it's another I love. Shogun was another one too. He was fun and He was good.
I've heard nothing but positive things when it came to GSW. We were doing like the tornado tag. Header had nothing but positive things to say about GSW. Matt Turner, I almost said the other name,
Yeah.
had a lot of very positive things to say about that company as well. Yeah, and then actually, I know I'm kind of going ahead of schedule here. You could backtrack, but that's where I first met you. That's where I first seen a lot of the backbreaker talent. If we would have known what we know now then, it was Header was like, "Hey, I'm doing a show. You should come up. This building, the Troop Center. It's really fun. We're going to do a show. It's kind of like a reunion show. You should come up with the podcast and maybe get some content." Didn't get a second of content, but we just sat there as fans and enjoyed the show, and we got to see a really cool show. And still to this day, some of my favorite matches. One of my favorite matches that stand out so much that it became the inspiration of the logo of the podcast was Kit versus Dina, and you were part of that.
Yes.
And it was honestly, to this day, it's still one of my favorite intergender matches ever happened. It was really early in Adina's career, but it was like the first time I really seen a talent like Kit that I fell in love with that night as well, where he didn't treat it like an intergender match. He treated it like, "Oh, you're stepping in the ring. I'm going to beat the shit out of you." And that's exactly what they did. Adina looked like she was a legit a fighter. She didn't hold back. She didn't look like she was green. She didn't look like she was as new as she was. And they just went in there and kicked the shit at each other, but also put a really good match on, had great ring psychology. You got involved. Everything made sense, and it was just a really, really good match.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite matches to this day to have been involved with. And it's crazy now, like,
to look back on it, yeah.
Yeah. Looking back on it now, I mean, that was like, yeah, pretty early on for Adina. And at that point I'd been working with Kit for a while, and it was so much fun. And now, like, obviously I work a lot more with Adina because like of her and Kit, and it's just, yeah, that was so much fun. GSW, I miss GSW so much. It's like, it was such a great place to work. I met so many people that I know now, like Matt Turner, Andy Header, like just like tons of people and I got to ring announce, which again was cool. Like one of my favorite stories, I think, ring announcing, there's a couple. One was, I was working a show there as a ring announcer, and the main event was between Fire Ant and, oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember. I want to say Bo Nakota, who was the GSW champion. If I'm wrong on that, I apologize, guys. It's more about the actual before the match. So, like, I would do, like, the champion, like, introduction. So, like, before the actual match starts. So, like, in this corner and in this corner. And Fire Ant's behind me. And all I hear is, "Move, kid." And I'm like, what? And I didn't realize for his introduction that Fire Ant did, like, a running, like, jumping kick thing. So if you ever, like, watch that footage on, like, Power or IWTV, you can see, like, Fire Ant's foot, like, this far from the back of my head, because all I hear is, "Move, kid." And I'm like, what?
Wait, GSW's on IWTV?
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh, I know what I'm doing then later on. I've been going back and watching Chikara, like, from season whatever's on IWTV and back, and then I just find other promotions. I just kind of watch their back catalog up. I'm gonna add that to the rotation. Another person I met at that show I met him at that show, fell in love with him, and he's a big part of me just like excited every time I see him. The president of independent wrestling, Phil Stanford.
Yes. Oh, I love Phil. Phil would had GSW not had to have taken a break, kind of like go on a hiatus. It's like that's what they were kind of building towards, was like, because I was the ring announcer, and they had done like an awesome like War Games match that's definitely worth like watching, that involved like Phil's team against like Team GSW, and like Kit and Keita are in that match. It's so good. You really have to like you have to highly recommend it. And we basically like were doing the deal where like I was hired by Phil, and I was obsessed with Phil, and Joey Image fired me. And this was supposed to like kind of pay off on some things that like never really got to pan out, but it kind of like slowly led to me being a manager there. And Phil's great. I like Phil a lot too. Phil is super nice. And also
if you see GSW out in the wild, there's a company out there that is rocking GSW, but it's not the GSW.
Oh my God. And they use the exact same logo, like this logo, which was designed by Brute. Like, what a like
Crazy,
that
right?
whole thing, that whole thing blew my mind. And the fact that they were like we've been using the name forever, and like, yeah, but okay, but the logo, like,
Yeah. Did they just Google GSW and that's what popped up? And like, there's our logo.
they were like, good enough. Like, and they probably
Nailed
saw
it.
that the last like actual GSW show was the reunion show in 2020. So they figured, hey, that's up for grabs. But yeah, that's not quite how it works. But
Pro wrestling.
GSW was great. They did an event called the Turkey Bowl, which that one of them, the last one they did, is on IWTV, and it was similar to King of Trios, which Chikara does, which trios teams. I had ended up on there. It's me managing. It's, oh my gosh, Rod Wilder, Johnny Papadopoulos, and Cyrus Mars, and their team coach fit. And we all decided, because like Pop and Cyrus would do pink, that we were all going to wear pink. So like I look like Kirby in this, by the way. Like I'm in like a bright pink shirt and a pink hat. Like if you had drawn a mouth on my chest, I would literally look like a walking Kirby. And that was fun. And that was that led to me actually getting I got a stunner from Justin Glory, which was fun because Glory really, he held that stunner, man. That thing hurt. And yeah, that was actually like I occasionally I do the diamond cutter, and that was where the start of that happened, was me using the diamond cutter. Came from all that, like the whole thing with Glory and everything like that. So and there's a great picture, it's probably on my social media, of me, like, because I was supposed to give it to somebody on Team Backbreakers. It might have been Harzing, and they swapped it out and they pushed Pop in, so I just do. And it's like Eric Pinhat, who is a great wrestler but also is like a fantastic photographer, took like the coolest picture of me that will ever exist, of me like doing a diamond cutter to Johnny Pop. Like, it looks so cool. It almost makes
Paige and Eric Pinhat are
Paige too.
Oh. If they're ringside, you're getting good shit.
Yeah. Paige and Eric make me look like I'm actually athletic. So like when I have these matches that like I'm sucking wind in, they get like the best shots of like the one cool thing that I did. And I'm like, yeah. Then like people are like, wow, you're really like good at this wrestling stuff. And I'm like, absolutely. And it's like, no, the photographers are just really good at getting that one shot and ignoring all the others.
My favorite. So Paige, I already announced it. Paige is coming on the podcast very soon, and obviously Diamond City War Machines will be on the podcast as well. I'll probably do them separately because I want there's a lot of stories there to talk about.
Oh god, yeah.
But one of my favorite conversations to listen to was Eric and Paige at the Sanctuary, and their photography conversations. And their one conversation was, they told wrestlers that they're not taking time out anymore to edit out weens. So if you don't wear underwear under your gear, they're not photoshopping your ween out. And I was like, is that a thing? And they're like, yeah. And they show, and then now every time I see a photo, I go, oh yeah, there's a ween.
Yeah, I've talked to like Eric in the past about that, and like, yeah, he's spent a lot of time just.
Yeah, Eric told me he would spend hours upon hours photoshopping and airbrushing weens out, and he's like, I'm not doing it no more. He goes, I've thousands and thousands of weens I'd photoshopped out. I'm not doing it anymore. I didn't know that was a thing.
Eric's ability to Photoshop is incredible, because like he can get like the ween outlines, like
I have not chopped a penis since.
I have not chopped a penis since. I am always amazed when I'm like, Eric can get like anything. My Spider-Man pen's in the shot. Eric can get like anything like out of a photo. Like, he's so good. Like, he's a good wrestler. He's a good photographer. He's a good friend. I love Eric Pinhat.
He's a great wrestling mentor. How many? You have countless conversations where you're like, man, I got in the business and I was struggling, or maybe I wasn't having a good time, or I was bummed, or something was going on, and then I met Diamond City and it changed my life, because they generally give a shit about people and they love the business. They're just good people.
They do. They care.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was going to say, they care about the young talent. They care about like just trying to help out. They're so unselfish. Everywhere they work is better having them work there. And I love them. And Eric, like, and Brad too. Eric's such a great human being. I know if like I messaged Eric like right now and was like, I need A, B, and C, Eric would get A, B, and C for me. Like he's the best. And I'm not just like kissing up to him because I know he's listening.
It's genuine. It's 100%. Yeah.
Same with Brad. Like they're two of my favorite people. And like I said, and Johnny Toxic too. Like there's no way like I would have probably made it as far in wrestling without them either. Like, cause like sometimes I get disgruntled with wrestling and I have enough and I just want to quit. And it's getting to work with like genuinely good people that stops me from just being like, fuck it, I'm done.
So we're about halfway through. I try to keep it around an hour, and I know there's so much more. I know we didn't even talk about how you start working with Mike, and then how you got in with Kit Raff. But how we're kind of on to something I want to keep on with here, right? You talk about how you get frustrated and how you can easily get bitter if you're not in the right environment or you're not in the right locker room or something's going on where you're just not happy. And there's a promotion right now that you're a part of that, and I'm there a lot as well. The Smash Master and the High Tension team is just that is just an environment of just, there's no sour grapes in the bunch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everyone's there, everyone has a good time, everyone's genuinely happy to be around each other. It's just like you said, you've worked for GSW, you've worked for Backbreakers, you've worked for probably countless other promotions. How key is that? How key is that to come to a promotion where you have that positivity around you?
It's great, and it makes you like want to work, like be there and help out. I worked, like I said, I loved GSW, I loved Backbreakers. I've worked at a lot of places I didn't love, and I won't name them because that's not what I do. But there were places that, like, it just, the negativity or like the way that they did things, and it was tough working there. And I met Alex on I'm trying to think how I can phrase this. I met Alex on a podcast. It doesn't exist anymore. And he was great. I'm like, he's such a cool dude. Like, he seems super chill. I had met Rosh at Sanctuary because Rosh at the time was kind of taking point and helping John out down there.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the High Tension Wrestling had done the show at the Marketplace at Steamtown in Scranton. And I was super excited to be on that show and get to be part of it because, like, I'm from close, like I'm from Dunmore, which is close to Scranton, and I grew up in that mall, so it was really cool just being part of it.
Dunmore, Wilkesboro, Scranton, all the same thing.
Yeah. But like, it was like such a positive locker room, and everybody was happy, and everybody was kind of working together, and it was just such a great energy. And the same thing has happened at like Smash Master, and like I love it because, like, the drama, there's no like wrestling drama, there's no egos, there's no people like just kind of like looking out for themselves. Everybody is trying to put on the best show and like go out there and like do their best work. And to me, that's super important. That's what you want. And I think that's why Smash Master has seen like such growth. And like, Rosh has got an entire list of shows planned out for this year, which I think it's awesome that, because I've worked for a lot of companies that I work a show and they're like, we'll bring you back for the second one. And I'm like, sure. And I know there's not going to be a second one. And there have been plenty I've worked that there hasn't been a second or a third or anything like that. They just kind of,
or they're just not consistent with who they keep, and they have a revolving door, and they're like, oh, well, this person has a rate, and it's just all those different carny techniques and wrestling promotions.
Yeah. I can't with the carny carny bullshit is absolutely something I cannot stand. And it's not something I want to be part of. And I've walked away from promotions because of that. And I've turned down things. And it's like, it's not like, look, I know I'm a manager. I'm not going to get signed by WWE. I'm not going to get signed by AEW. I'm not going to get signed anywhere. It's more important to me to work on shows that I feel like I can do something good and have fun and just be with like good people than it is to like worry about like advancing my career, getting to
Yeah,
like,
we're not getting paid millions of dollars here to do independent wrestling. We're barely making gas money, and sometimes we're barely even doing the gas and the tolls. But if we're walking into a locker room we give a shit about, that kind of doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like it is nice to get paid because then you feel like you're at least valued. Um, but it's to walk into a locker room that it's a good environment can circumvent all that other nonsense. You know?
and I love working for like, you know, I feel like people have kind of figured out that Backbreakers Entertainment is no more, given that it's just vanished off the face of the planet. So like to give a little context to that, Justin Glory kind of decided he needed to step back from wrestling for personal reasons, which I respect. Again, I love Glory. So Backbreakers had to close, and the promotion itself also was done. So it's nice to have Smashmaster there because I feel like that's now my home promotion, and I love working for Rosh. I have a great time there. I get to work with Kit, which, you know, that's the only person I ever want to work with. Sometimes it's basically Kit and Mike Mitchell, but Mike's retired. So,
Yeah.
you know, I have so much fun there, and High Tension too. Like I'm now forever happy with High Tension. I love working for High Tension, but now like they, you know, I spent 2 years trying to manifest that match with like Kit and I against like Big Dust and Killian, and they did it. And and upon having that match, I'm like, why did I ask for this after like my face was swelled up and I broke 2 ribs? But like it was such a fun time, and I love working there. I love working for Rosh at Smashmaster. I can't wait for the shows that we're doing this year. We have a lot of really good stuff coming up.
Really exciting stuff. Also,
Yeah.
too, if you want to check out those, if you go to my YouTube channel and subscribe, obviously, because we're getting close to that 500. But scroll down to the bottom where it says promotions I work for, and you're going to see Sanctuary, you're going to see High Tension, you're going to see Smashmaster, and then a list of other companies that are great. Please subscribe to all of them. And there's going to be a lot more High Tension and Smashmaster content coming to the YouTube side. They are going to be exclusively a YouTube brand going forward, probably very, very soon. So definitely show that love, and there's going to be a lot of back content coming soon. So even if you haven't seen stuff yet, you're going to see for the first time soon. It's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of hard work's getting put into that YouTube channel as we speak. So subscribe now and get ahead of the curve. But yes, Glory. And listen, it is sad to see the Backbreakers name go and the brand and the school and everything. A huge thank you to Glory. I personally have only ever worked for Glory once. And I was only brought in as a fill-in because Pete couldn't make it that day. And it was always a promotion that I respected. We used to go to shows and support. They let me come in as a content creator and just record interviews and be a part of that. And I wasn't even part of the show. I just came in and did interviews, which was cool because that was like the first promotion that I really got to do that with, where I wasn't really booked to work, but they're like, "Yo, like we don't have a spot for you, but come in and get stuff," which was really nice of them to do so. And I got to meet a lot of those students, and I got to meet a lot of that talent. And then working for them, I will say this now: Backbreakers is the first Pennsylvania promotion to ever hand me an envelope. I didn't know what to do. I was like, "What's this for?" And they're like, "Oh, for working today, and also bringing the equipment that helped provide the commentary." And I was just like, "Wow, that made me feel some certain type of way." And so, huge thank you to Glory.
Yes.
For all you've done for the wrestling scene and for all the amazing talent you brought out, and not only just for the talent, but shaping them to be amazing talent as well as building their minds to be good people, because a lot of what you instilled in that school is still inside of their minds. Like you're talking about Diamond City, yourself, Kit, Adina, they're just good people. You didn't just make fantastic wrestlers, you made fantastic people. And Backbreakers will always be a very special place to a lot of our hearts. And Glory, thank you for your time, your dedication, and everything you've done for the business.
Yeah, I learned so much from Justin Glory, not just about wrestling, but I learned like work ethic. I learned avoiding drama and staying out of like the nonsense. Like I learned one thing with Glory that was great was even if he and another person had some kind of issue, Glory would always try to resolve the issue. There were people who would leave Backbreakers under whatever circumstances led to them leaving, and it led to bad blood between them and Glory. Glory would always like bring people back, talk to people, listen to people, like understand. Like Justin Glory is a great person. I don't know if he's ever going to listen to this. I don't know. Like, I know like with wrestling, he kind of wants to move on, but like if he ever does hear this, like I am so grateful to Justin Glory. I'm grateful to Backbreakers. Through Backbreakers, I met Kit Raff. I met Adina, like these people that I'm currently like involved with. I wouldn't have met if it wasn't for Backbreakers. And like everybody from there, they're such great people. Like, like Keita, I can like do an entire podcast just talking about how much I love Keita Murray because he's such a great human being. Like Trajan's such a great human being. Like these are just genuine people. And we all are here because of Justin Glory and Backbreakers. So like when I found out from Glory directly that he was moving on, I was happy for him because like he's done so much. And I told Justin Glory, like, you have so much to be proud of. Like you had a great career on your own. You did a lot of great things on the independent wrestling scene, but you also have like all these wrestlers that you've distributed amongst like this area of the Northeast and all the way out in California. In the case of Keita, like, like you have like, you're basically, it's like you're the father and you have all these kids to be proud of because they've all gone on and they've done great things. And that's like because of you. Like none of this would have happened if it wasn't for Justin Glory and it wasn't for Backbreakers. And it's always going to make me sad that like I missed the last Backbreakers show for good reason. Obviously, like my kid was born right around that time, but like it'll always bug me that I couldn't be there. Have been there for Kit's like last Backbreakers match, which was with Rex. Maybe someday Backbreakers will be back, but I know it's a new thing now and they're doing their thing, and I hope best of luck to them with that. So
yeah, that's I think sometimes wrestling promoters are more than just promoters, but trainers and just people who run companies. Like they don't get those roses enough, and I think they don't realize that how many people are just truly appreciative of them because you know what I mean. Like the hours that probably go into running a school, let alone a promotion, is probably just tireless. And like social media side of things, as well as everything else to get it out there, is got to be so goddamn hard. But to kind of take a step back, and like you said, I hope he hears this, or if he ever hears this, but yeah, just kind of reflecting on that of just what you've created in the area and how it branched out, and they're still working and they're passing things on to the next generation, and the next generations that are coming out of there that will be coming through the new company High Ground as well. You know what I mean? Like there's it's just a giant spider web of nothing but positivity, and it's just overall, thank you Backbreakers and thank you Glory. Yeah.
Yep.
Hey man, anything else you want to plug or get out there, or something we want to talk about that we didn't cover?
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's crazy. I could probably talk for like hours.
Oh, me and you should probably have our own show where we just bullshit for an hour.
I know. I did Matty D's podcast, like By the Numbers, and I believe like he had to cut so much of it out because I can just talk and talk, and even with like stories, like I have so many good stories, and I always do watch alongs. If you ever want to do a watch along with me, let me know. Oh gosh, yeah, and I could like, especially like if we ever like just anything, man. I love just talking. I love talking about current wrestling, even like big, like I had a podcast for a bit that like unfortunately like my schedule with like a pregnant wife did not allow for me to do too much, but we would like just sit and bullshit about current wrestling and things like that because I like to be positive, man. Like I don't like dumping on people. I don't like dumping on like current things. If there's something that's not for me, that's okay. Like because there's lots of people that it makes happy and brings joy to, and that's even the same with indie wrestling. There might be stuff out there in places like I don't work or I don't agree with the way they do things. That doesn't mean it's bad. It's just that's not for me, and that's everybody. That's usually
how I handle it. Like if I say I'm not a fan of a wrestler, I don't mean them as a person. I just mean like right now their character's not latching to me, or the storyline's not matching to me. Like right now I have a hard time with AEW. I think a lot of their storylines right now are just not sticking for me. Some people hate NXT. I love it. I think it's super character driven. NXT right now seems like an indie company. Like I'm watching the next generation grow, and I love watching it. Like
you and I are going to be best friends for that statement, man. I love NXT. Yeah. NXT is my favorite wrestling show. I've never been a fan of AEW, and I'm not. Before I know people like to jump on me for that. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just not for me, and that's okay. Like, I don't like every movie that comes out, but lots of people like other movie. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
I love NXT. NXT's, we'll just do it. I'll hop on one of these watch alongs with NXT and you can just listen to me like gush over it for like
Who right
2
now in
hours.
NXT? Well, I will be so as soon as my episode starts at 7 o'clock with Zach. As soon as Zach is done, we're gonna try to wrap it up in like 45 minutes to an hour, like I do all the other podcasts. I jump right on the NXT watch along. It's something brand new I'm doing. It's my trick. So don't tell anybody. It's a secret just between us. So they're not listening. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to grow this audience. Right? It's hard to grow on just talking independent people, right? Because nobody knows who I am. Nobody know like if besides our friends and family who listen to this, no one knows who the hell we are, right? So I need I need to grow. I need to brand. So I'm like, if I do watch alongs with Raw and SmackDown and AEW, somebody might grab onto that and say, man, this is really cool. I like their watch alongs. And then I get really popular. And then I cram the indie shit down their throat.
That's genius, man. Yeah, you have to, you know. The indies are great, and obviously I love the indies because otherwise, what would I be doing? But you know, it's and using the big leagues is the perfect way. I've done that with lots of people. Like I use the big stuff to get people interested in the like indies and things like that, and it's like it's worked, man. That's such a great idea. Like
my biggest thing I tell people all the time is when we talk TV or we talk wrestling or we do a live stream, I'm like, if you don't watch and support independent wrestling, you're a fool, especially now more than ever because it's just getting so good. But like besides Roman, Brock Lesnar, Ronda Rousey, and that's probably about it. The rest of that you're watching on television right now is like Northeast Pennsylvania, Northeast coast, like the East Coast independent wrestling scene is all dominating television right now.
Yeah. I mentioned there, I've been on shows with Chuck Taylor, I've been on shows with Orange Cassidy, they're on AEW. I was on a show, I don't remember which one, with Drew Gulak. I was on a show with Sanjay Dutt. Like I helped
and now we're seeing the Yutas and the Daniel Garcias and the Action Andretti's and the Willow Nightingales of the world starting to come up. You know what I mean? Like it's just so the Deppins, Tony Deppin, Ace Austin, Monza Slamovich, like this whole area is just flooded with good talent. And if you think they're good, man, there's another 70 people who aren't signed that are just as good that they're just waiting for their opportunity. And it goes support your independent wrestling.
I think, you know, I mentioned Keita Murray. I think Keita's time is coming. Keita's going to blow up at some point, and he's going to be all over the place. Adina Steele, Adina's time is going to come. Like, she's going to, whether it's Impact, whether it's AEW, like, Adina is going to end up somewhere. Like, she's so talented and so good. Like, you know, and
if Keita's not going to be a wrestler, I think that Hollywood's going to be calling him soon too, because he has a lot of. You know? I was watching that Dahmer thing. I was like, "Was that Keita?" And then I'm looking through my social media, and I'm like, "They're like Keita's in the new Dahmer thing." I was like, "What the hell is that?"
He's so talented. He's such a good-looking dude. Like he's gonna either succeed in wrestling or acting, or he's gonna succeed in both. But like, and he's so driven that like, yeah, he's great. And if he. Whatever he ends up being successful at, I will always root for him because, like I said, he's a genuine person. And yeah, it's just crazy. But like, I don't know. I can talk and talk. I have so many stories. Like, you know,
listen, the door's always open if you ever want to jump in on a Raw stream because 3-4 hour streams are tough to do. And we can talk about everything else in between. Like I said, man, me and you, we have that thing where we can just bullshit for hours and hours and hours. And it's beautiful. That's why I love being around you and talking to you. Because even if we're not talking wrestling, we could turn this into video games or comic books or pop culture.
I love those things.
We could be here for days and days. But my last question for you, that's not independent related, just because we kind of gussed over it in NXT. Who right now in NXT? Who's your go-tos?
My go-tos? All right.
Who do you really like that you're like, man, they're going to be big deals?
I mean, the obvious answer is Braun Breaker. I love Braun Breaker. Growing up, I was a huge WCW fan, and the Steiner brothers were my two of my top like favorite people. So like to watch. So when I see Braun, there's so much of like his father and his uncle in him. So like I enjoy his work, and he's still learning. But I'm like, if he keeps on the trajectory that he's on, in a few years, he's going to be Roman. He's going to be like the guy. I'm a big fan of him.
I made this today while you're talking, but keep going.
No.
Nope, it's not popping up. Hold on. I fucked up. Okay, keep going. I'll have it up for you in a second.
I love Braun. Tony D'Angelo is another one. The gimmick's kind of silly, but from a wrestling like point, watch everything D'Angelo does. It's so smooth and it looks so good. He reminds me not necessarily of, okay, that's awesome. Of like in terms of like ability like Randy Orton, but he has that smoothness that Randy Orton has of like just things look really fucking good. I love the Diamond Mine, the Creed brothers. Creed brothers
are so good. So
Creed
good.
brothers, fantastic. Julius.
I am a huge fan of their women's division.
I'm getting to the women next.
Yeah.
The women are great. Also, even though he's kind of old school NXT back in. I'm a huge Dijak mark too. I was a mark for that dude. Like the last run of NXT, I was the One Soul T-Bar fan, which Jess Player Kit would, I almost said his real name, which Kit would bust my balls on. I bought that. I have that T-Bar figure, which I made sure to buy. So like,
I fell in love with him when he would battle Keith Lee. When him and Keith Lee had those wars.
Those were such good matches, and their women's division is probably one of the best women's divisions on like mainstream television. Like it's so under.
The thing is you could definitely watch it and be like, okay, they have a long way, they have ways to go. But you're watching the NXT women's division, you're like, wow, this is going to be the future of women's wrestling. Like there's so much good talent here. Who jumps off the screen at you on that women's division?
Roxanne Perez, which I know is an easy answer because she's the champion, but she's so talented. And for as young as she is to be that good, she's only going to get better. Sol Ruca, who was one when she had debuted. I'm like, oh, cute, you're a surfer, whatever. Then she started wrestling, and like I know everybody like goes to that like handstand diamond cutter like finisher that she does, but like everything she does looks really cool, and she's like, she has a charisma about her, like that's really great. I loved Toxic Attraction, even, before the split with like Mandy and all that. I thought they were really good. It was a good act. They got like the heel heat was great. Cora Jade is really good. I could like literally all their women minus a few who even then, like, I feel like they have a lot of potential.
My favorite, I always forget her name because I'm still, so I'm very new to NXT, so I don't have all the names down yet. But the girl from Chase U.
Oh, Thea Hale.
Thea Hale, yes. So I seen her and I was like, never seen her wrestle, but she immediately grabs your attention when she's on camera. She reminds me of Billy from Billy from Iconics.
Yes.
I was like, oh, what the hell was her? I always say I know they're real. Billy Kay, yes.
Yeah,
Billy Kay was not an amazing wrestler, but just charisma through the roof, and she grabbed your attention, and she did all the small things that made you like, oh my gosh, she's super entertaining. And then she wrestled last week. I'm like, she's not terrible. Like she's gonna be really good. Tiffany Stratton, really. Oh my
gosh, I forgot about Tiffany. She's great.
Cowgirl girl, the one who's hanging out with the hillbillies guys or whatever, the girl from Hair.
Fallon Henley, she's great.
She's really good.
Kiana James, she's got the businesswoman gimmick, and like she's really good. But what I love with her is when she comes out and they put up her name, they put all these like letters underneath for all the degrees that she has, and it just pops me every time because it's like, it's so. I love fun and I love silliness, which is part of why I love NXT too, because they do a lot of like silliness development. That's more of like my kind of wrestling because that's like what I
character. Wendy Chu.
I love Wendy.
Love me some Wendy Chu.
She's so good and she's so funny.
We went to Raw and she was the dark match for main event on Raw, and I was like, I gotta see Wendy Chu live, and I'm the only one cheering. I was like, what? Everyone's like, what's wrong with him? I'm like, yo, Wendy Chu's a goat.
I went to my wife and I, we went to SmackDown, and it was like maybe a year or so ago, and the dark match was the Creed brothers against the Viking Raiders, and the Creeds came out, and Heather who's my wife, we screamed because like she loves NXT too, so like we're the only people, like everyone else is like, who, what, and we're like, oh my god, like
who's the Australian guy? I can never say his name.
Grayson Waller.
No. The
the other one, Duke Hudson.
No, he has an X in his name.
Oh, Zion Quinn.
Quinn. Yo, he has a good look.
I kind of
with Akira Tozawa on main event, and Akira Tozawa, everyone thinks he's just a comedy wrestler. That dude can go. And they had a match on main event where they were both able to like go, and it was really, really good.
Main Event has been using a lot of NXT talent the last 2 months, maybe 3 months. Like it's definitely worth like I love watching like those matches, and like I watch it on Hulu, which I believe is the only way to watch Main Event. It might be on Peacock too. And just like you have to fast forward.
Popped. They said, imagine if Coach Raff shows up on NXT Watch Along tonight, and everyone's like, that would be dope. I think you've earned your spot. If you're ever bored on a Tuesday, brother, just shoot me a message. I'll get you a link.
We'll have to definitely work that out, man. Like I have to, like all I need to do is like figure it out ahead of time to make plans for like to avoid the baby talking in the background or crying, like But we definitely could work it out. Like I want to do it. I'd love to do it, man. I love. Like, it's so rare I find people to talk to about NXT because I feel like it's underappreciated, and it's like usually when I find people, it's either they like, Raw or SmackDown, which I do watch, or they like AEW. I know a lot of people like AEW, and I'm just like, sorry, guys. Like, and there's stuff from AEW I watch, but like, I don't know a ton about it that I can really carry on a conversation. NXT, man, we could start at like 2012 with NXT, and I can go like, all the way to
I love it.
Day. That's my when I did Matt Durline had a great podcast where you got to like draft a fantasy roster and like book shows, and both times I did it was NXT, and I had so much fun. And like we did like a reverse one, and somebody stuck me with Stacks. And I'm not saying he's a bad wrestler at all, but like you give me Stacks without Tony D'Angelo, and I just made his gimmick like stereotypical Italian guy, and I just had so much fun with that. Like,
well, man, Coach, thank you so much. And listen, this is not going to be over because, like I said, I have a lot more content coming to this channel soon that's just not professional wrestling. I want to start doing movie reviews and music reviews and just live stream talks. I want to start adding more to the channel, and also the live watch alongs. And like I said, man, we just have chemistry that we can talk for days and hours, and the door's always open for you, brother. So if you ever see me post something or promote something online and you want to jump in on it, the seat's always there for you.
I'd love to get on a watch along, and I think I mentioned it in like your post, which led into like all of us yelling about the Arrowverse. But I would love to sit and talk about Batman like comics sometimes, man. Like just all the weird like. I mean, I'm a huge comic book nerd. I'd love to just sit and like shoot the shit on like off the.
What did you feel about the New 52? Without getting too crazy into it, because we're just hit an hour.
Yeah, I don't want to get. There's parts of it I like, and there's parts of it I don't like. But the Batman stuff.
For the flower guy, I was all about.
Yeah.
Flower face. I was like, you lost me.
But the Court of Owls stuff, which now has become the main inspiration for like everything Bat related over the last year.
Such a good storyline. Court of Owls is so good.
So good. And Snyder, Scott Snyder, such a great writer, such good. But again, this is why I'll have to hop on, man, and we can talk Batman.
I love it.
I guess really quick, I should plug stuff here before I go.
Yeah, send your plugs out.
Yeah, so we have on February 11th, the High Ground Wrestling Night of Steel show to benefit Adina Steele and Philly Mike, who are both injured. That's going to be a great show. Kit Raff will be wrestling on that show against Nathaniel Cunningham. I'm sorry, my dog is pulling on my arm, so like I'm not dancing here, people. My dog's off camera. That's going to be a great show, and it's to benefit Adina. It's to benefit Philly Mike. Both have like injured right now. Both are great people. Two of my favorite people. Like, please come out to the Falcon's Nest in Mayfield, Pennsylvania. It's going to be a fun show. Support them, and I can't wait for that. Then we have on March 5th in Troop, Pennsylvania, Smashmaster Wrestling, and that would be Uncle Masty's 40th birthday party celebration, which I'm not going to because we're low on time, I won't go down the card too much, but like it has a fantastic, it's got a great card. There's an ambulance match that's going to be on it. It's going to be awesome. Kit Raff is working MIT.
Grim is coming. We're getting Grim in Pennsylvania.
I can't wait. Lucky 13 is wrestling on there. Like it's going to be so much fun. I can't wait. Kit's working.
Ricky Price is wrestling. That
jerk. That kid's a dick. No.
Oh my god.
MJ.
I want to say the match that's gonna steal the show for me. Because I told Kit, and I was joking around with Masty. I was like, yo, I love Kit. I love Diamond City. I love all it. Can we start putting Kit against people like that we haven't seen him wrestle 100 times already? Like him and Killian, great, but it's we've seen that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and and I loved it. They're all great matches and they can all work. But then then you did the promo came out. Like literally they're snickering as I'm saying this. And they didn't tell me anything. And then the promo hit online with MIT and I was like, that's what I want. That's what I need in my life. I want Kit and MIT. That's gonna be a banger.
Oh, it's gonna be amazing. And MIT is gonna, it's gonna get kicked in the head. Because Kit, with Team Raff, brother. And then on March 18th is in Philadelphia is High Tension Wrestling Spring Breakdown 93, which is a fantastic name. Kit Raff will be wrestling. I can't say anything more than that, but Kit will be wrestling and I will be there with him.
What are you doing 90s style? Are you dressing up? We going full 90s?
I kind of have to figure it out. Somebody, I believe it was referee Matty D, threw out there that we should do like Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. I'm going to try to obviously I'm a Bulls fan. I've got my Bulls hat on. I'm going to try to convince Kit to do something along those lines or maybe something Space Jam related, like something fun, because I'll be like, look, dude, I wrestled in a Ghostbuster outfit for you. Like, come on, you can wear a basketball jersey.
I can't really say too much either, but I will be in Philly that day.
I can't show.
Maybe making my return to High Tension, but someone needs to bring the greatest part of the 90s back, and I'm going to do that. Everyone's going to be glitz and glamour and high color and fashion and fun, but something needs to be grungy. That's all I'm saying.
I can't wait. Oh, I can't wait to see that. I can't wait to see what a lot of these people are going to. I'm so excited. I don't want to say people who are on it that haven't been announced yet, but there's so many great people on that show. I can't wait.
It's gonna be a good time.
Kit's match is going to be fantastic, especially upon seeing what it was. All I can say is it's going to be something different.
If you miss old school MTV Spring Break era stuff, you are in for a treat.
Yeah, it's going to be.
If you want to get a taste of what this is going to be, go to IWTV, subscribe, go to Camp Leapfrog, and check out their 80s show when they did an 80s theme show. Now just take that show and remix it into MTV 90s, and you're going to get fun skits. You're going to get great themes. It's going to be a really, really good time.
I'm so excited. And, there's plenty more coming up throughout the year with Smashmaster Wrestling. I encourage everybody to find them on Facebook, Instagram, and now Twitter, which was
a brand new YouTube channel.
Yeah, and their YouTube channel. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and watch I promise you're going to have a ton of fun if you watch anything on there. It's so great. Again, seek out their social media, seek out High Tension Wrestling on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Give them a like. And you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. It's all the Sean Calvin for all of those. Give my page a like. I do not post much on Facebook. I really just use my Facebook page to share stuff. I haven't been posting on Twitter a lot because, again, got a 6-month-old at home. I'm a little busy these days. And Instagram.
In the chat right now, the first link is going to be your High Tension Wrestling Network chat, and the other one is going to be your Smashmaster. Make sure I made it super easy for you. Just click those links and go subscribe.
That's perfect. And obviously, if you're not subscribed to Anthony's YouTube channel or anything like that, please do so because he is one of the best podcasts. I love him so much. I'm so happy I got to be on here, and I want to do a million more things with you, man, and talk for hours and hours and hours because this is great.
I'm for it. I want to make that happen as well. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Like I said, check out the links below to support all things that we have going on, as well as ABJ, as well as Coach Raff. Check him out in the Northeast wrestling scene. If you're seeing him, you're probably seeing me. So come hang out. Travel. Listen, there's nothing wrong with traveling 2 or 3 hours to go see a wrestling show. No. Come out to Northeast Pennsylvania. I promise you come to one of our shows or you come to where we are, you will have a great time. You're going to meet great people, and you're going to leave there and be like, I'm traveling every single week to these shows because these people are amazing. Just give us a shot. I think we're a fun crew. But we'll see you guys next time. We'll see you tonight later on with Zach Xander at 7:00. And then following the Zach Xander episode, we will be going straight to the NXT watch along. But let's show some love here to our outro music done by the Converse Kid, my best friend, Billy Trey. And his links are below as well if you're looking for some cool music because he's very talented.